We are back with another high ticket sales role play. We're going to jump into an offer that is AI agency scaling. Zach is going to be the closer and Julian is going to be the prospect. I'm going to take you through the discovery part of a sales call. If you don't already know, the discovery is 90% of where the sale is made or lost that is in the control of the closer. Of course, the pitch has an influence, but usually as a closer, you don't have much influence over that part of the call. So the discovery is where you're either losing sales, getting objections, having people hang up on you, or anything else that results in you not closing the deal and making the money that you truly want to be making. So in this training, we're going to go through those things that you need to start fixing in your discovery so you can close more deals and make more money as a high ticket closer. So without any further ado, Zach, kick us off with your opening question.
So, Julian, got your app. I'm curious, in your opinion, what's the biggest challenge you're having growing your agency right now?
I would say it's specifically in terms of AI, I would say just like sort of understanding the landscape and growing out my offer in that direction. I would say that's my biggest challenge at the moment.
Okay. Is it that right now you don't understand what kind of product to develop? I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, like I'm seeing a lot more lately that, more of my own clients in the agency are probably in need of AI at some point. I sort of see that it's shifting in that direction. Everyone is currently starting to talk about it. So sort of reached a bit of a stage where I'm just like, would it be a good, opportunity for me to start moving into that direction?
Okay, let me make sure I've got that right. So right now, your existing clients, you think that they could really benefit from AI. People are talking about that. You're just not sure if that's the right opportunity for you right now. Is that accurate?
I definitely see it as the right opportunity. I'm just trying to figure out like how this could all sort of come together.
Okay, got it. What are you currently offering your current clients?
Pause, guys. The reason Julian said that is because, and I understand why you said it because you were clarifying, but you kind of took a little bit of an assumption that he wasn't decided that that's what he wanted to do. He said, would it, in other words, would it be the right thing? Would it not be the right thing? Is what he has been debating in the past. And then he's booked in a sales call and turned up to the sales call. Now, there could be a small reason that he's just booked in a sales call, not to do with the fact he's come to a decision, but 95% of the likelihood is he was thinking about it, he was undecided, something shifted, and then now he booked in the sales call. So you see how, because you missed that slight nuance, you kind of led him in the direction of kind of, are you still not sure? Whereas actually I would have said, okay, that makes sense. So you were kind of thinking about, would this be a good thing? Would this not be a good thing? Where are you at now? Where are you at now? Where's your mindset at now? What's your thoughts at now? Now, that's actually me being more detached than I need to be, because I'm almost giving him the benefit of the doubt to explain to me why he's booked in the sales call and turned up to the sales call. It would actually still be accurate for me to just say, okay, you've booked in a sales call, so what made you sure now that you do want to do this? It's just a bit heavy-handed, and I'd rather lean backwards and detached and get him to pull me forward and explain it. But he's clearly come to some type of tipping point that he's now on the call. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very perceptive.
So be very careful that you listen to the words exactly, because even if you get one word slightly wrong, you kind of start veering the conversation in the wrong way. And if Julian's being a nice prospect, it won't really make a big difference. But if Julian was being a difficult prospect, or you were on the phone with a difficult prospect, it's one of those notches against your name of like, well, you weren't really listening. And you only need two of those before the prospect really just checks out. Like you don't have many chances with your prospects before they just think you're not really concentrating. Okay? So don't lose them. Don't lose your one of two opportunities on a really easy one. Because later on in the call, there could be something that you do fumble the ball, and it was quite a difficult one to have wrapped your head around something, but this was an easy one. So don't lose your shots on the easy ones. Does that make sense, Zach?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
Okay. So, Julian, you mentioned that you've been wondering whether or not the move into AI is a good opportunity. Where are you at now in terms of your thoughts on that?
Um, well, I'm definitely clear that it is a direction that I need to take. Um, so yeah, I'm just starting to look into it now. I sort of came across your guys' stuff and thought it looked quite interesting. So yeah, I just thought I'd check it out a little bit more.
Yeah, awesome, man. What kind of service are you currently providing to your clients?
Mostly lead gen. So yeah, we work with a lot of med spas at the moment, doing a lot of their lead gen. Yeah, I've been doing that for about 2 years now.
Okay. So you've been providing lead gen to med spas for 2 years.
Hmm.
Um, Man, sorry, Josh, I got nervous. I'm thinking just to pause for a second. One thing I'm thinking is like, I immediately want to go into the lead gen type questions of like, okay, how many clients do you have? What does that look like for you? Because what we do is especially a lot of paid ads. But I feel like this conversation is almost going more into what it would look like to develop AI into the business. So I'm grasping for the alignment here.
So bring the two together, but just remember, we're not going to be talking about the hypothetical future. We're going to be talking about the current problems, but you can bridge the two together. Any
Okay.
idea how you can do that?
Well, where my mind went was, what are you hearing from your clients that makes you think that the AI would be a good opportunity for them?
That's a good question as well, because it's very relevant. Yeah. If you want to stick on the line that we're on, not that that would have been a very good question. If you want to connect these two things as far as the AI and the lead gen, you could just say, okay, so I'm curious, what's going on with your lead gen right now that means it does seem now is the time to move forward on this AI? What's going on with your lead gen that means now is, it seems, the time to move forward with AI? Basically, what I'm saying is, tell me what's going on with your lead gen in the frame of what's the problem, in the context of that's now come to a head that you're moving forward with this AI. It's a very loaded question because I'm stacking three things together, but that's where you're able to get the prospect to go where you want them to go, not want to go as in, I'm trying to close them, want to go as in, I want to have this specific conversation about the joining point between these two or three things. So you can stack your question to get them to talk about that. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
To make sure I'm hearing you clearly, he said he's been doing lead gen for med spas for 2 years. So I would say, so you're doing lead gen for med spas. In terms of your own lead gen, what is going on there that has you looking into potentially providing AI? Is that what you mean, Josh?
Could be to do with his own lead gen, but it could also be how he wants to deliver to the client. I don't know. So I'm intentionally going to leave that vague. What's going on in regards to lead gen, which is your lead gen or your client's lead gen,
Okay.
that means now's the time that you're looking to move forward on AI.
Okay.
Does that make
Got it.
sense? Because it could be either, and I don't really want to waste time like going down both lanes. I'd rather just give him a general question and see where he goes.
Yeah, it makes sense. That what I'm thinking, just going a little bit ahead, is when people come to us, the dominant problem is they have either a volume or a quality issue with their lead gen. They are AI, they provide AI to their clients. We help them scale with the paid ads. If it's something like you need to, Julian, develop AI inside of your business, that's not something that we help with. So that's what
Okay.
I'm immediately trying to parse out.
AI Legion.
Yeah.
Cool. Got it.
Okay. Well, cool, Julian. In terms of the lead gen, what are you seeing there that's making you look into the AI?
Don't say look into, because then you're putting into his subconscious mind he's just window shopping. Got to be
Okay,
careful.
interesting.
Because it's not that he's looking, it's that he's taken an action towards it. That's not the same as looking. Does that make sense? That you've got to be careful you don't put those types of, you're creating the identity of the prospect that now he's just looking at it. It's what's going on with your lead gen that means you're now moving forward on this AI that you've been considering for a blank period of time. In other words, you've been in the period of consideration, something's tipped that you're no longer in consideration, you're in action. What is it? what's going on? Don't say what has you thinking about it, because then he's going to be like, well, I'm thinking about it for this reason. And then now we're on this line of verbiage of thinking, not doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So could we say, Julian, what's going on with your lead gen that has you moving in the direction of the AI?
Yeah, it's better. I would probably be a bit more heavy-handed, but that's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
So in terms of getting clients at the moment, I've been doing this for the last like 2 years, and the way that we used to do it is my wife runs a med spa, so I've been able to really get in the door with her, and she's got a couple of people that she knows, and that's sort of how we started our business. But we're sort of starting to see now that we are looking to obviously expand and go a little bit faster and grow at a rapid rate. So we're just looking at newer ways, better ways to be able to get more clients on board, really.
Okay, got it. Just for my own context, real quick, you said that your wife runs a med spa. Does she help you out with this business as well?
I pretty much run the whole thing. Like, she's too busy with her med spa, but she was essentially the one who referred me to the clients that we have now.
Okay, makes sense. But you're the one really, this business is your responsibility, it sounds like.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's
Okay.
just me.
So you mentioned that you're looking at expanding and growing at a faster rate. Last month, let's say in August, what was your total revenue in the business?
So last month,
Pause. There's not enough of a bridge as to why you're going into that question. It sounds like you've just gone from having a real conversation to, hey, I've now got my agenda of questions I need to go through.
Okay.
So contextualize what you're doing and why you're doing it. Why are you going into that question?
Well, what I'm thinking is, how fast are you going now at like the rate of growth?
Exactly. But the way you removed that bit of context, it didn't really, at least to me, tell me if you disagree, Julian, it was like that there wasn't enough obviousness to why you're asking a lead gen question. After he just said the word growth, speed, and scaling, he said faster. But so if someone's using this language, don't then go and use a question or a topic of conversation that has completely different language. It feels like whiplash. So I just say, okay, got it. So you want to grow faster, you want to scale. So in regards to your growth and scale last month, how many leads did you get? Right. So contextualize that we're talking about leads in regards to growth and scaling. And then the prospect sees that you know what you're doing and you're connecting things together.
Yeah.
You also
Okay. I
helps you
also,
connect things together.
yeah, I started jumping into the revenue to think about rate of growth, but yeah, I think going into the leads is a better way to, yeah, what Chris said.
Sorry, forget that I said leads. Revenue, leads, whichever one you go into is fine. It's the context. Sorry, I should have said revenue. You could say, okay, so in regards to your growth and the speed that you're scaling right now, what was your revenue last month? You could say revenue, you could say leads. It doesn't matter what we're digging into. Ultimately, what you're doing is correct, which is I need a yardstick of, well, where are you at now? Where were you last month? Where were you the month before? What's the current rate of growth? You're doing the right thing. But because you didn't contextualize it, it just felt, maybe it's just me being
no, understood,
too aware of this stuff, but it felt like such a shift from you're having a free flowing natural conversation to like, hey, I've now got my list of questions and these are my data gathering questions. It just felt too abrupt.
got it. I think for our intents and purposes and how we'd be able to help it, it would make more sense to go into the leads, but contextualizing it. So, Julian, you mentioned that you wanted to expand and grow at a faster rate. Just in terms of your growth now, last month, how many new client appointments did you have on the calendar?
Keep in mind, we're still just doing referrals at the moment, but last month we had 8.
Okay, so 8 new clients over the month. Out of those 8, how many of those would you say were qualified in terms of your ideal client with the ability to pay?
Don't say how many do you think, it's, well, how many bought?
Okay.
Rather than how many do you think are qualified? Well, I think blank. No, it's like, okay, and how many bought? or how many did you sell? How many closed? Hard facts rather than this kind of like wishy-washy question.
Okay. I think I struggle with that a lot. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So Julian, out of those 8 appointments, how many of those were actually qualified in terms of your ideal client and ability to pay?
That felt like the same question.
Okay.
It's not how many were qualified, because who's judging whether they're qualified? I'll tell you guys, someone's qualified if they give you money. If they don't give you money, they weren't qualified.
So, okay. So you just,
picture.
Okay. So interesting. Yeah. Cause a lot of times people come in and say, let's say, oh, we got 20 appointments, but 10 were, they're not qualified conversations.
If that's a big pain point for your offer, you can get there, you can reverse engineer to there. And I'll give you an example just to speed this up. Just role play with me, Julian, quickly. Yep. Okay, so what number did you give? You said 8.
8.
Is that what you said? Okay. So you had 8 booked calls. How many bought?
1.
Okay. Why do you think the other 7 didn't?
Two of them just simply didn't have the money.
Okay.
What are we left with? 7, 6, 5. Yeah, the other 5 they were, but we're still in the talks of doing proposals for them. So we're still waiting for them to come through. But no, haven't closed anyone else from those 5.
Okay, so just to clarify, do you think they were good leads?
Those 2, no. The other 5, I think they were okay. I think I could have probably closed 1 or 2 of them on the call, but the other 3 were a bit of a gray zone.
Okay. For what reason?
They're already doing pretty well, so it was a bit difficult to sell them from sort of good to great here, because they already were doing pretty decent numbers. Their calendars were filling up quite nicely. We just wanted to sort of fully book them out, so they just needed to give it more thought.
So you're saying you want leads that are in a worse position in terms of that they're really struggling, and therefore there's more of a pain point to buy your stuff?
Yeah, 100% with lead gen. Yeah, if you can fill someone up from like 0 to 50%, it's a much easier sell than from 50 to 100.
Okay, what about the fact that if they don't have many leads, they might fall into the bucket of the other people that had no money?
That's also true. So that's also what I find is those people tend to be in the same bucket. Either they have money to invest and they're just very desperate, or the other people are also desperate but they just don't have the money.
Right. I'll pause there because otherwise I'll keep going. But why I did that, just for everyone's intel, is because sometimes on a call, you find that the initial problem might not actually be solvable. In other words, this guy could say, well, I want more leads that are in a terrible position. Well, then they're all going to be broke. So then that's not going to be very much of a solution. And you can kind of help take a prospect to the place where in this context, it would have been something to do with, well, you've basically got 2 options. You get a lot more leads of people that are really in a bad spot and you really struggle to close them, or you're going to have to put them on some crazy payment plan. That's option 1. Option 2, you said your other challenge is when a business is not doing that bad, there's not enough of a gap from good to great that it's an immediate, I need to buy this thing right now. What that tells me, Julian, is you don't have an offer that provides so much more additional lift, for example, AI automation, blah, 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 blah. Therefore, you can't sell those people that do have money. Does that make sense? So now you've made him see like, oh, actually, I don't want this thing. I actually want this thing. That's why I was going into all those additional questions. So we went off on a bit of a tangent there. The initial thing that we were going on, Zach, was better to just get the hard data and then fill in the gaps after, as far as like, why do you think they weren't qualified, rather than go from how many leads did you get to how many do you think are qualified. I would have taken the 2 end points, which is leads and closes. And then based on what the difference is, I would ask the prospect to fill in the gap. Because now you got like a hard data point on either end. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm thinking what I'm eventually trying to get to, right, is the revenue, his expenses, his financial situation, how that compares over time. And so, yeah, I guess I don't know what the question is there, but okay. So Can I run through that again?
Yeah, go for it. 100%.
Awesome. So, Julian, out of those 8 new client appointments, how many of those closed into paying clients?
One of them so far.
Okay. So, out of 8 clients, 1 closed. Do you feel like the other 7, I mean, were they good leads?
Um, the there were 2 that definitely couldn't have bought. So that leaves us with 5. Out of those 5, like we're still in the process of doing proposals and setting them all through, so they haven't closed yet.
Okay. Out of those 5 that you have proposals out, do you have a feeling of how many of those look like slated deals?
Um, I think we've got a pretty good chance at getting them. I just think that yeah, with most of these guys, I think we'll definitely get them over the line. It's just yeah, they just sort of have to decision makers, stuff like that.
Okay. As in, you didn't have the decision maker on the call the first time? What do you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So we got a follow up call with 3, and then the other 2 we're just waiting on the proposals. I'm just waiting on the response.
Okay, interesting. Is that is that a typical process for you where you have a call, but the people who actually aren't able to make the decision aren't there, and so then you have to take it to multiple steps and follow up?
Happens, yeah, happens a little bit. I mean, for this month, it was 3 of those calls that I had to reschedule because a lot of these mid spas are like family businesses. So
Mhm.
either the husband or the wife gets involved and they just want to get on the call together essentially.
Okay, pause.
Okay.
So if you go this direction, you got to be careful you don't go too far into, are we selling him sales training and sales processes, or are we selling him AI? Right? You're,
Partly.
you're going at, oh, you sell them sales training as well.
So it'd be what we do is we help them refine their offer, positioning, messaging, dial in their ICP, all of that. We give them our AI ad system to get it out to market, and we give them sales training to convert, as well as
Okay.
systems to be able to fulfill on the back end.
Okay, that makes sense why you're going that direction then. Okay, fine. Keep going. So hopefully you're enjoying this training. Now, if you're brand new to the channel, you can skip this. But if you've been watching my videos for weeks or months, you've gotten value, you've implemented, you're making more money because of it, the question I have for you is, what are you doing? Still sitting on the outside? Are you someone who's going to continue to just watch free content when deep down you know being on the inside, being mentored by me directly, being around other unicorn closers is the thing that would take you to the next level? If you think you're getting value from the free content I'm putting out here on YouTube, what do you think happens inside the mastermind? So if you know you're ready, if you're at that point, you've seen what you needed to see, click the link below this video, jump inside. I'll see you there. Now back to the training.
Okay. I feel like I had maybe what I needed there to close that off for a second and get back to what we were doing. And so that client who you closed this month, what are they paying you?
So that's just our typical retainer, 3K. That's just for include setup fee first month, and then from there we do about 1,500 a month with them until they cancel.
Okay. So it's a $3,000 setup fee and then $1,500 a month in retainer on the back end.
Correct. Yep.
How many months do clients typically stay with you for?
On average, I wouldn't know the exact number, but if I had to guess, I'd say probably around 5 months.
Okay. And how many clients do you have currently?
Right now we're working with 6.
Okay. So in total last month, I'm curious, Julian, what was that overall revenue in the business?
Let me just get the calculator out. So, I mean, 3K a month for the setup fees, and then I've got well, what five other clients paying me 1,500. So, sitting at 7.5 grand plus the 3K. So it's around 10.5K last month.
Okay. So 10 and a half last month in total revenue.
Yeah.
After your expenses and overhead, what's the margin that's left on that?
About 4.5 grand.
Okay. So out of 10 and a half, you got 4.5 left over.
Yeah.
If we went back to the previous month in July, What were those numbers like then? Were they pretty similar?
They were a little bit higher because we signed 3 clients that month, which was actually our best month that we've had. So because it was a 3K setup fee, we get an additional 1,500. So that month, I mean, we from those guys alone, we made 9 grand, and then we still had 2 clients who were still paying us 1,500. So so looking at 12 grand that month. Yeah, a little bit higher than the month before. Well,
Okay. I'm curious, if we went back one more month, what was the revenue that you did during that month?
so that month we had 3 clients, I'm pretty sure. So we're sitting at like 4.5 grand plus 1 new one, so 6 grand.
Okay. Interesting. So over the past 3 months, we went from 6, we doubled to 12, and then in the past month, we went down slightly to 10.5. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Don't say we anymore. It's
Yes,
you.
sir. Okay. So in the last 3 months, you started off with 6K, you doubled to 12, and then you went back down a bit to 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, we've spent a lot of time, relatively speaking, doing data gathering. Nothing wrong with that, but you've got to be aware of the time. So what would
Yes.
be a question that you could ask now that's going to shift this much more quickly back to their pain point, their problem, starting to lean into ownership, and I need to do something? What should you ask to get that direction?
Yeah, I wanted to tie it back into the theme of growing faster and to just maybe straight up ask what has you feeling like your growth rate right now isn't fast enough?
Perfect. I would just word the question a little bit more directly, but that's exactly what you need to do. I would probably just say, okay, so 6K, 12K, 10.5, why are you not growing enough?
Mm.
Why are you not growing enough? Like just way more
Okay.
nonchalant and just straight to the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But you're
Cool.
right that you need to tie this into now. Okay, we've got the data. Why is this not enough growth, basically?
Okay. Yeah, Julian, you mentioned you want to grow faster. I mean, 6K, 12K, 10.5. Why are you not growing enough right now?
I've got
Sorry, in hindsight, better way to say that is why is that not enough growth right now?
Okay.
Because there's a issue that the prospect could misinterpret the question, which is my fault because I gave it to you, that you're asking him what's causing the lack of growth. That's not what
I
we're
heard that
asking.
when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah, what we're asking is why is that not enough growth for you? As in, what's the problem with that, not what's causing the problem. So in hindsight, that I gave you the wrong way to word it.
Yeah,
Okay, so keep going.
no problem. Oh, Julian, what has you feeling like that's not enough?
Don't say feeling, though.
That's
Don't say feeling.
yeah.
It's too soft. Yeah.
Okay.
And contextualize it like you did the first time. So you've had 6K, 12 and a half, 10 and a half. Why is that not enough growth?
Okay. Okay, Julian. So 6K, 12K, 10 and a half. Why is that not enough growth?
I've
Sorry, in hindsight, there's an even better way to say it. And this is what you would do when you're reviewing your calls. You would look at a call and you would see parts in a call where you're like, it did what I needed, but there's an even better way to do it. So an even better way to say that, and so this is 3 variations of improvements, and you can see even me, I'm still observing myself, and I'm like, oh, could I have done that better? I could have done that better. What I would have said that's even better, because it's now tying it into the meaning behind this not being enough growth, is okay, so you went 6K, 12.5K, 10K. What is that not enough growth for? What is it not enough growth for? Because now we're going a layer deeper. We're not asking what's causing the lack of growth. That was the bad version I gave you before. We are asking, why is this not enough growth? But to say what's this not enough growth for, he's got to give you a fucking reason. Well, my wife's pregnant, or we want to go on holiday, or we got to get to the actual pain points with that. Does that make sense, Zach? So there's an even better way to say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You would get there from the second question I gave you. You're just going to need an extra 2 questions, which in hindsight, you don't need them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what
Beautiful.
you should be doing when you review your calls, guys. Don't just look for your calls, the places that you fucked up. also look for places to get more efficient and more effective. And your efficiency and effectiveness only comes from one place, guys: the questions you ask. Nothing else controls the speed of a call, how long it takes you to get to where you need to get to. It's the words that come out of your mouth and the questions. Okay, and you can add just slight variations to, you can move the words that are at the end of the question to the front, swap them over. You can add, for what, so one extra word at the end, and you change the whole power of the question. And this is where you're understanding the construction of questions rather than words on a script, like pre-planned questions. This is where you're understanding, okay, what can I manipulate about the question to make it a more powerful question? Right? This is much more advanced, but as you can see, it's not perfect in the sense of, to develop this, you will try in real time on a call. As you get better, you'll get most of your questions very well delivered, but you'll always have ones that you look back and think, okay, I could do that better. And when you review your call, you then take that better version of the question, if it comes up naturally in the conversation, and you deploy it on a future call in a better way of wording it. Okay? All right, keep going.
Yeah, it's helpful. Okay, Julian. So 6K, 12K, 10 and a half. What's that not enough growth for?
I'm just trying to plan for something pretty ambitious here. I mean, I know I mentioned my wife to you before, who runs a med spa. But we're planning for some pretty big shifts over these next few years, because she already have a 1-year-old, but we've got another one on the way. She's now 3 months pregnant. So
wow, congratulations.
Thank you. So we have to really start looking at it. Well, like, how do we sort of want to structure
Pause.
this?
Sorry, pause. Be careful when you say congratulations. There's a fine line between being calibrated for the congratulatory fact that his wife is pregnant and a fine line of, and you don't want to lead the prospect, but it's like, is the fact that she's 3 months pregnant something that he's celebrating in his mind and his state?
Yeah.
Or is the fact that she's 3 months pregnant something he's shitting himself over because he doesn't have enough money? You've got to be very careful with calibration. Calibration is not what is normal. Like, normally someone says, my wife's pregnant, you say, well done. Calibration is contextually, based on the context, what's the most appropriate way to respond to that? Like, because you don't know if he thinks it's a positive thing or a negative thing, it's stressing him, it's not stressing him, I would just say, oh, interesting. Because interesting is neutral. Interesting is, that's something interesting. She's 3 months pregnant. That could be a huge celebratory thing. That could be a real shit show for you because you've got no money. So I would just say, oh, interesting. And the fact that my wording of my acknowledgement is neutral, he has to kind of bounce off my neutrality and go up into, oh no, it's a really great thing, or down into, yeah, it's really stressful. Because I kept the line neutral. He has to kind of go in one direction or the other. Whereas if you go well done, because most people are fucking soppies, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's so cool. And he's now in rapport with you. But he may have not wanted to be in rapport with you, to be honest with himself. He's just being in rapport with you because people are typically too soft that they would rather be in rapport with someone than be in the truth with someone, because rapport is comfortable and truth is uncomfortable. Okay, so you need to hold the line to go towards the truth, not towards rapport. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay. All right, keep going.
Okay. Yeah, Julian, apologies. I think I cut you off there. You mentioned that you have a 1-year-old, 3-month on the way. How is that affecting your wanting to grow faster?
Well, I've first, I mean, my wife will probably need to start.
Pause. I feel like it was too leading. What's a way that you could phrase that that's less leading?
I wanted to say, how are you feeling about that? But
that's so much better.
Really?
So much better. Yeah, so much better. Yeah, because you were trying to push the conversation to connect those two things together, and I was like,
yeah. Well, interesting, because the first thing I thought was, I'm sorry.
One sec. Julian was playing a good prospect, so we went along with it, which is fine. But I was like, there'll be a lot of prospects that they would know what you're doing. It's too telegraphed. So you could say, oh, how do you feel about that? That's beautiful, so neutral. Or you could say, and either of these are the same level of accuracy, not one's better than the other. You could say, interesting, why did you bring that up? Why did you bring that up? Is like, well, like, do you usually hop on a Zoom call with a stranger and tell them my wife's pregnant unless it's relevant? No. You tell the person on the Zoom call if you're like, your solution to my problem is connected to this problem that I just told you about. Otherwise, I'm not going to tell you my wife's pregnant. Does that make sense? So you're in from a very curious place, being like, oh, that's interesting. Why do you bring that up? Well, the thing is that that's exactly why I'm not growing enough, because I've got 6 months left and I'm not making enough money, and we're going to have 3 times as many expenses than we have now because a baby's super expensive, blah, 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 blah. And then he's just going to pour out. Whereas what you did, you're going to take 2 steps forward by trying to push the conversation forward. And then the conversation is going to go 2 steps back because they can feel that you're trying to lead them to buying from you. And so they might follow along, but then the next stuff you start asking, they've shut down and they're not going to be as open and honest with you.
Yeah. Well, tell me if I'm interpreting this correctly. That is scriptless selling and not having an agenda. Because the first thing I thought was, how are you feeling about that? And immediately my mind was like, no, that's not going to get us anywhere. But that's having the agenda,
thing.
right?
If your mindset is, I want to get this somewhere, then you actually won't get it anywhere because they feel you're trying to win something from them. Whereas if your mindset is, well, what would I just be curious about? I'm just interested to know how this all fits together. I don't have an agenda. Either it's all going to make sense in 20 minutes in, or it's not going to make sense. So that's very, very telling what you said, that your justification for not doing it is exactly why closers fuck themselves up. They're like, well, this isn't going to move the conversation forward. Your job is not to move the conversation forward at this point in the call. Once you get later on in the call and it's like we're tying them down, each tie down is to move the call forward into they're fully fucking tied up and we're going into pitch. At this point, we're just in the discovery of just figuring things out and seeing what's going on. There's no agenda at this point. Does that make sense? Yeah. So very telling. Okay. All right,
dude, that just physically unlocked something, dude. That's crazy.
Awesome.
Okay. So Julian, apologies. I think I cut you off there. You mentioned that you have a 1-year-old and 3-month-old on the way. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty mixed, man. I mean, one side I'm obviously really excited because I've got another kid on the way, but yeah, it's also like I'm just sort of taking a look now into the future, at least a few months ahead, and thinking, well, how things are going to look with the family, stuff like that. So that's been giving me some thoughts.
Some thoughts. Can you elucidate?
Very good, but use his language because he gave you exactly what you needed. But you're doing a good job that you're just curious. He specifically said a very specific set of words when he told you how that process is. I'm trying to not tell you the words, how that process was going in his brain. What did he say?
The exact words, I'm not sure. He said that he, on one hand, was excited, but he's also looking into the future. And was it mixed feelings that?
No, he said looking into the future, but what word did he use about looking into the future? He said vision. He said vision. Vision of the future. Is that what you said, Julian? I'm pretty sure he said vision. I'm envisioning. As I'm thinking about it, I'm envisioning the future. Yeah. So say, and what's the vision look like right now? Because now he has to face the reality of, well, and he's now telling you the real thoughts and images that are in his head, which is, I'm having this thought of the baby crying, and the baby's crying because we haven't got enough money to buy the diapers and the milk, and he's literally going to have to tell you what that vision looks like. He's literally going to describe a nightmare to you, which is really fucking deep. Does that make sense? So you did the right thing. You would have got there with what you said. I just want to show you it's easier than you think, because the makeup of your next question almost always comes from the words they've just given you. Like, they're literally giving you the building blocks to your next question. Just put them together and deliver the question. Whereas a lot of times as closers, we're listening, we hear what they said, and then we're like, okay, blank slate. Let me create a question. It's like, why are you looking at a blank slate? Like, just take the words they said, put them into a question. Okay, you said you got this vision. What's the vision look like? Oh man, oh, it's terrible. Oh, why? Well, describe it to me. Well, I'm worried about this and this and this and this and this, and it's just so much easier than you think it is. Does that make sense, Zach?
I think so. Let me see it. So,
Sure.
Julian, you said that you're envisioning the future. What does that vision look like right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, earlier I was telling you that, my
Sorry, pause. I'm going to do it again. Um, Another version of me in hindsight hearing that and being like, you could have done that better, and it's me that could have done it better because I told you the words. You could, and it's just so much more powerful if you can shorten things. So say what you said again, Julian, because I want you to be able to watch, Zach, how this feels when I do it in this way. So say roughly what you said.
Yeah, bit of mixed feelings, man. Because I mean, on one aspect, I mean, another kid is on the way, so I'm super excited. I'm also sort of like now envisioning on what things are actually gonna start to look like.
What do you see?
Well, I mean, my wife is still running the mid spa, as I was saying to you earlier. So what I'm trying to envision is like, well, what are things really going to look like when the kid comes along the way? Because I mean, she won't be able to run it while she has the kid. So I'm just thinking about how that's all going to work out.
And what are your thoughts kind of painting the picture of right now? If things stay the way they are, how does that look?
Well, first off, like who's going to take care of the mid spa while my wife is away? Because I mean, I'm spending quite a bit of time on my clients, and then the other aspect is, well, like how are we going to provide? I mean, with one kid that we have now, it's we're able to scrape by, but with another one on the way, don't even know what's going to happen.
Well, okay. Well, you say you don't know what's going to happen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's images in your head of what is going to happen if nothing changes. So, what are those envisions in your brain right now?
I don't even want to think about that. I mean, that's just going to be.
Pause. Notice that I'm not moving on because I know he doesn't want to think about it. I'm going to make him think about it because that's why he's on the call, the real shit that's going on. I don't I don't have preconceived words that I want him to say, but I have a preconceived idea of the vibe of the image that I need him to describe because it's pretty obvious. It's chaos. Like his wife's trying to go to the med spa, then she can't go to the med spa because the baby's here, then the baby's crying, and it's like it's just a fucking mess. It's just chaos. I need him to explain that because him not explaining it is lying to himself. Because that is the thoughts that go through his head when he actually plays out, oh, in 6 months' time, it's going to look like this, it's going to look like that. Now he's on a phone call with a closer. He's trying to distance himself from describing those thoughts. You can't buy into that game. Like you have to describe to me the actual thoughts. So I'm going to hold him on that until he goes there. Okay. Anyway, we were talking about the difference in the questions. So previously, I thought the best thing was to take his words and say, so what's the vision look like? Even more powerful, although we're removing his words, to shorten it and just say, what do you see? That would have been it's just even more direct. Okay. So as you train scriptless selling, always enjoy it as like a game. Like even now, I'm 5 years into this and I still say something. I'm like, I could have probably said it like this. And that's because I love the game of it. There's no game in reading off a script, guys. It gets really boring really quick. Okay. All right, Zach, keep going.
Okay. Do you want me to pick it up from there?
And go back to where I cut you off. You can carry on from where I stopped, wherever you want. Up to you.
Okay. Yeah. So, Julian, you mentioned that you're envisioning the future. What do you see?
Yeah. My wife is still running the mid spa right now. I mean, 3 months it's still completely cool. But in a few months' time, the baby will start to become bigger and things will start to become a little bit harder. So I think at some stage I'm just gonna have to start thinking about, well, what are things gonna look like? She's gonna, she can't run the mid spa when when we have a new kid, and I'm just trying to figure out how all the different puzzle pieces are gonna fit in, just to make sure that we can make this work.
You mentioned something interesting there, that at some stage you're going to have to start thinking about that. What has you thinking about that and being on the call with me today?
That was very good because it was a tie down basically. What you said is fine, so we'll carry on with what you said. I'm just going to show you an alternative so you can see the options. So it was interesting how he ended it this time. This time he basically said something, to paraphrase, was like, and see if we can make it work. Like, can we make it work? Can't we make it work? I would have just been point blank direct and said, with the business how it is now and the lack of growth at the pace that you want it to grow, will you make it work? Because then he has to just say yes or no, or fumble the words, which is a no. And I also tied it back to the original problem. The business isn't growing and scaling at the level that we need it to. The problem, we then had the reason that's a problem, which is his wife's pregnant. At that point, because he just handed it to you on a silver platter, I'm going to connect those two together into a definitive tie-down question. If the business continues not growing and stays at the rate it is right now, will you make it work, Julian? And now he's like, so now it's like he's completely tied down. And at that point, because he's so tied down, I would probably go into why, or, in what way would it not work? Because I want to really push his feet to the fire. But very quickly after I've got that full pain, that is a really nice segue into, okay, so why, if you do you feel like AI is the way to scale your business so that you can make it work with your newborn on the way? Because now I have such a lined up segue to the AI thing. In other words, your vehicle, your solution. But you don't go there until you've really buried them in the pain and got them to commit to, I need something to change. There's no point talking about the vehicle until they've said something needs to change. Because otherwise you're just having this hypothetical conversation about AI. And that's when you get into, when you listen to this, guys, for everyone on the call, when you enter the conversation about the vehicle on a hypothetical, that's when your prospects say things like, well, I don't really know that much about how the AI works just yet, so I'm not really sure. Whereas if you enter the conversation about the vehicle on, what I'm doing right now is fucked, it's not going to work, and I need to do something different about it, and you say, okay, why AI? The frame of the question is they now need to sell you and sell themselves on why it's going to be a solution, as opposed to, well, I'm not really sure. They'll be like, well, AI is more profitable, AI is this, AI is that, and they're literally going to give you reasons for why it's going to be a fit. And it's all the framing of the question. Does that make sense?
Josh, can I ask something about that real quick? Is that because
Sorry, 1 second. To give you another example of how this works in terms of framing, guys, if you just had some random person on the street say, take off your clothes, you'd be like, no. Whereas if you walk into the doctor's office and they say, take off your clothes, you're like, okay. That's framing, guys. It's the same fucking words in a completely different context. That's the power of framing. If I've framed the entry to that question about the vehicle as, what you're doing is fucked, it's not going to work, why is this going to work? Their framing is like, well, I better give you reasons that it's going to work. Does that make sense? That's how you can change the words, change the responses that will come out of your prospects based on framing. Just like you can change, if you, don't try this, guys, but if you ask some stranger on the street to undress, you can change their response. If you put a fucking name tag on and say, Dr. whatever, they'll reconsider their no. You can literally change their response based on framing. Okay, Martin says he's tried that. I knew it was going to be Martin. All right, Julian, what was your point?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because if you come at from in that direction, do you think they're gonna try and justify it in like an emotional way instead of a logical way? Is that why?
That's also a reason. Yeah. It's that. And this is like the reverse of to the person who has a strong enough why, they'll find the how. This is
Mm.
like that philosophy in practice. You've got them so deep into needing a why, they'll make the how up. They'll literally create it in real time. Whereas if they don't have the why, they're like, well, I don't really want to do anything different, or change is difficult and people are, creatures of habit. So yeah, George says he's calling HR. All right, folks, let's keep going.
Okay. Julian, you mentioned looking at putting all the pieces together and seeing if you can make it work. Let me ask you, with the business going the way that it is now, will it work?
Um,
In this context, I would have given a bit more context. Will what work? So I would have added that into the question. Because he's given us so many details that you could put it into the question. So try it again, Zach, with more context.
I'm sorry, I'm not entirely sure I
Sure.
understood which
So
context.
with the business growing, or should we say, Julian, not growing at the rate that you need it to, will you be able to make it work with your wife having the med spa and 6 months' time having another baby on the way, and also at your current income level? Will you be able to make it work? So I'm putting all the
Okay.
details into the question, because those details box him in because they're facts. Whereas without the facts, he can kind of like look for like a little airy fairy response and kind of sneak out of the question. Okay.
Okay. So something like, you know, Julian, with your wife at the med spa, with, 2 kids, a newborn on the way, or maybe it's not the right way to say that, but let me try it again. So, Julian, with your wife at the med spa, a newborn on the way, the business and the income not being where you'd like it to be, will this work? I feel like that was not great.
I didn't like where you want it to be. It's not where you want it to be. It's in this context where he needs it to be, the income. So that kind of
Right.
softened the question as well. Give it another go.
Okay. Okay, Julian. So with your wife at the med spa, 2 kids, the business income not being where you need it to be, will you make this work?
um, for the moment, yeah. My wife is still working, so we're getting decent amount of money in every month. Um, but yeah, when I'm thinking like a few months ahead, and that's sort of what I meant by what I said is like a bit later down the line, she's gonna have to stop working, so she'll stop making money, and then yeah, so I have to sort of step it up.
Okay. In how many months exactly will she need to stop working?
So that's exactly what you needed to do, Zach. So well done. When someone shifts the timeline to like, well, I can make it work now, but not in the future, you need to tie down the timelines. So you did very good job there, Zach. Keep going. Very good.
Thank you.
Mm. Well, right now she's 3 months pregnant, so you know, um, we've got a few months to go, 6 months. So um, yeah, I think in about 3, 4, maybe 5 months from now, we're gonna really start looking at getting her away from the med spa for a bit, and then I'm just gonna be the sole breadwinner for a while.
Okay, Joe, I want to make sure I'm really understanding you correctly. So in 3 to 5 months, she's exiting the med spa completely and won't have an income. Where the family is going to be solely relying on you. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay. Then at that time, and well, I don't want to go into hypotheticals. I want to ask at that time, 3, 4, 5 months from now, how much do you need to be making?
Mm.
Good, but there's an easier and a more painful way to
Is it the income lost?
there's a more painful frame of that question, and let's see if you get it before I explain why it's a more painful frame. What's a different way to get that data point that you need?
Is it asking the income that they'll lose from the wife being out of work?
100%. That's
Okay.
one amount of extra money that they need. Why is that frame to get that data point more painful?
Because it's certain that they are going to lose that income versus how much would you like to be making? Is that
That's not the reason.
okay?
Deeper human reason.
Does it have anything to do with the fact that, I don't know, he's a man of the household and now everyone's going to be like, he's the provider, sole provider.
Yeah, it's the context of the man versus woman thing. Not getting into any sexist political correctness type of stuff here, guys, but just the fact that it's his wife's income. It's something that he's going to feel it's something that he's going to feel guilt and shame about, the fact that his wife was bringing money to the table, and then when she doesn't bring money to the table because she's pregnant, he can't cover that. That for a man, for most men, is like makes you feel inadequate, makes you feel not good enough. So there's a much deeper psychological way to frame that question. The other side of that, which is two sides of the same coin, is the man's or a man's natural, again, there's lots of weird things now with all sorts of different pronouns, but the average or the normal man's desire to be a provider and a protector. So there's the provider protector instinct, which is one part of it. His wife's losing money. He's now, the fucking, head honcho caveman that needs to protect her. And then there's the other side of it, which is, well, his wife was making $10,000 a month, and you just ask him, how much is your wife making? And he says, 10,000. That makes him feel like not great that his wife was making so much money. Again, that's not my personal opinion. That's not political correctness. It just is what it is, guys. This is just understanding humans. Okay, so getting that number that way opens up all of those deeper psychological insecurities in the prospect, as opposed to just saying, how much extra money do you need? Saying, how much is your wife earning? How much is your wife earning? If it's a big number, that doesn't make a guy feel good. Most guys. And also the fact that his wife's going to lose that income also doesn't make him feel good, but also makes him feel a little bit like a Superman type of, knight in shining armor mentality of, I better come in and make that 10,000 and save her. So there's all this like deep mythological, psychological nuance in that one question. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Can I ask Josh, just I'm pacing this in my head, thinking, and maybe I shouldn't be doing that at all, but thinking, okay, how much does your wife make? So in 3 to 5 months, you're going to be losing that amount. So you need to be making that amount back. What do you feel like you need to start making that amount?
Yes, but what do you feel you need to start making that amount is letting his feet away from the fire and being soft, because we have a lot more of a definitive way to tie that down based on the data we've already got and based on the problem. What's a better way to definitively tie that down? With the current way that your business is or isn't growing and scaling, are you going to have covered that shortfall within 5 months?
Mm.
That's definitive. It's not, what do you think you need? Oh, I need training, coaching. No, it's with the amount that your business is, or we could say isn't growing right now. In your words, it's not growing enough. In 5 months' time, are you going to have covered that $10,000 shortfall? He's like, no. Now we go to, okay, so why, if you do you feel like AI is the way to change that? How important is it to you to change that? What do you need to leverage AI to be able to change that? Now we're going to go into the, what do you need to fill in the gap? But before that, I want to tie him down with, if nothing changes, is this going to happen? Does that make sense, Zach? Just more direct. And it came because we had the data. We already had that data.
Yeah, where I was thinking was before when we were talking about, putting the pieces together, will he make it work? I thought that sort of already accomplished that, but I understand that this is
It did. And if I draw it, I don't usually do whiteboard in the middle of the training, but a lot of what you're doing on a discovery, and maybe you're on the goal setting training on Wednesday as well. A lot of what you're doing on a discovery is the same points at a higher altitude. Okay. So that's kind of what, like a discovery doesn't just go from here to here. It goes like around. And as you go around, you're covering the same things at a higher altitude. So what I mean by that is, yes, we got him to say in simple terms, he needs to fix it. But now we're going to get him to say it in much more crystal clear terms with the fact that it's his wife's income, it's $10,000, it's a 5-month timeline, it's the lack of scale and growth of the business, and we're like tying all these data points together. And this is what I've said in the past, guys, when I've said, as Zach just very honestly admitted, I thought I've already got that. Well, you do have it, but you've got it what we could call like hanging on by a thread. Like, yes, you got that point, but how strongly is this going to hold up when at the end of the call you tell him the price is 10K? I don't want to risk that. So I'd rather get it again. And like the phrasing for this, guys, which is, I actually heard this from Ty Lopez, is the belt and braces approach. He didn't talk about it in a sales context, but the belt and braces approach is like, well, if you wear a belt, that's fine. But if your belt breaks, then your trousers fall down. Well, if you have braces as well, then if your belt breaks, your trousers still stay up. You don't want to get to, it's a funny analogy, but you don't want to get to the point where you ask for the clothes and your trousers fall down. And that's most closers. The trousers are up until it comes to, hey, by the way, it's 10K. And then boop, they're stood there in their underwear. Like, that's a great analogy for it. But does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Belt and braces approach. Don't be there in your underpants.
There's a lot of British verbiage there. Okay. Where are we picking up from?
Wherever you want. We were at the bit where he was basically, or the next question that I would have said was, how much is the wife's income?
Right. Okay. Okay, Julian, you mentioned that your, wife is going to have to leave the med spa in 3 to 5 months. How much is she bringing home on a monthly basis now?
It varies, like month to month. So I'd say it fluctuates between like 5.5 to 7 grand a month.
Okay, so between 5.5 and 7 grand. And in 3 to 5 months, to make sure I'm hearing you accurately, she's not going to have any more income coming in. It's going to be solely on you.
I love that you clarified that. It's not, oh, she's going to go to part-time or there's going to be some income. That's very good, Zach. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, she will be. Yeah, she's going to go full-time mom.
Okay, so at that time when you guys lose out on that 5.5 to 7K a month, how I want to ask, like, how what I'm looking for is the differential between that and what he's currently making in the business already. Like, do you need to be replacing that whole amount on top of what you're already doing?
Well, I actually think it could be worse, which is he probably needs to replace his wife's income, which gets them to their current household needs. But then there's another baby on the way. So that amount's going to go up even more.
Okay. So would you just ask, how much more do you need to be making?
It's too hypothetical. And this is an example where you're going to ask it as a fact-based question, even though they might not know the answer, just because it's a better way to phrase the question. So I would say, okay, and have you planned a budget for how much extra money you're going to need when the newborn arrives? Now, he might say, no, that's fine. You could say, okay, well, when you had your other baby, how much did your household expenses go up by? Because we're using the questions to be more based on facts rather than, how much do you think you're going to need? Oh, I don't know, like 2,200. Like, he'll just make up a random number. Whereas I'd rather say, have you looked into the budget of how much extra money you're going to need? Because imagine if he says no. Even that is a little notch in our arsenal for the ownership later on in the call of the fact that he's negligent to have even known how much extra money he needs to make. Like that's part of the internal issues that are causing the external issues. He's not even looked at the budget. As you all know, folks, you're not going to hit a goal unless you clearly put a target for the goal. You're not going to hit it. That's why we get all of you to do your financial target. Okay, so either way, it's going to just give you so much more ammunition. Anyway, keep going.
Okay, Julian, have you projected a budget of how much you would need to be making when the new baby comes?
I've thought about it, but I haven't written it down, I would say. But yeah, just thinking about it hypothetically now. I've got an idea sort of like what needs to make, but I haven't made a budget necessarily.
Sure. I mean, if you thought about it, when the baby comes or when your first baby came, how much did your expenses go up?
Um, a little bit. So like, I mean, not just the baby and obviously the other things that come with buying things when you get a baby, but also like holidays and stuff that we planned was a lot more. So I'd say about a grand extra per month.
Okay. So with your wife out of work, you're losing five and a
Okay,
half to
pause.
seven.
Pause.
Yeah.
Everything good so far, Zach. One of the other things that you want to be bringing your awareness to on a sales call is what's the general energy of the call, like between you and the prospect. At this moment in time, folks on the Zoom call, put in the chat a word that you would describe the kind of vibe or the energy of the call right now. Put in the chat a single word or a little phrase or a sentence. Low. Anybody else? Apathetic. Yeah. Apathetic. Anybody else? So the point is, as I'm sitting here observing the call, and you should be able to observe your own call while you're on the call, you should be able to get a vibe of like, is this call moving too quick? Is this call a little bit confrontational? Is this call a little bit slow? And the kind of vibe of where the call's got to now is it's kind of dragging. It's like can we
Yeah.
kind of get somewhere? So because I'm aware of that, and because I don't have a script and I have 100% pure flexibility, I'm actually going to think of where I might take the conversation to start turning up the heat. And so because I was aware of that, what I'm thinking I would do to just really fire things up, I would just say, okay, got it. So that's $11,000. And just role play with me, Julian, because I want you to see the pace of this, Zach, and I want you to see the intensity behind it. So that's $11,000. How many months or years do you plan on your wife not being at work?
Well, if you could do forever, that would be awesome.
Okay,
That's what I'm thinking.
100%. Let's just say, it's not forever. How long would you say it would be that she's going to be off work?
Um,
A
about
year, 2 years?
yeah, about a year, I'd say.
Okay,
Last baby was a little bit shorter just because we had to make it work financially. But
makes sense. Let's just go over a year then. So that's 12 months times 11,000. So that is $131,000 that you're going to have to cover the shortfall of.
Yeah,
When you hear that number, how do you feel?
yeah, it's honestly it's frustrating, man. I've been
Why is it frustrating?
because I've been trying to make it work. I've been trying to make it work for so many months now. I mean, I was thinking about this even before the baby came around, or when we decided to have a second baby, that maybe
Just let me pause you for a sec. We'll get into why it hasn't worked. We're definitely going to cover that.
okay.
Just for my clarity, what is it about the number that's frustrating? Is it, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is it that you won't be able to make that number, or what's the actual pain behind that number?
It's just a lot. It's just a lot that I need to
Okay.
cover.
Are you going to be able to cover it with the current rate that the business is scaling, growing, if nothing changes?
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. Why'd you say definitely not?
I mean, we had 8 leads last month, 1 converted. We've got a couple more in the pipeline, but I mean, with the churn rate that we have and the new clients that we're taking on, like we're growing steadily, but
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't
That
say,
makes sense.
yeah.
So just so I'm clear, are you telling me and telling yourself that with the setup you have right now of the business, the lack of growth, in 12 months plus the extra plus the extra 6 months to have the baby, so in 18 months, because this 131,000 is money that you're going to need. This is not to go on a holiday. This is just for you to live. That you're essentially going to have a debt of 131,000 because you're going to have to get that money from somewhere. So it's going to be a loan, credit cards, somewhere. So if nothing changes, are you saying that that's just going to have been a debt?
Yeah, I mean, I've never really had to use credit cards, but yeah, I don't really see another option from there, to be honest with you.
Imagining that 18 months from now, you have 3 kids. I think he said 3. 3 kids, a wife, and a debt of $131,000. How's that feel?
Shit. I mean, I don't know what to say, man. It's
Okay, pause. An example of where I used a little bit of future pacing. I don't usually like doing it, but I took the current number of what it's going to cost when he loses the wife and grew that number out to how big of a problem is this going to be. You can't reverse that because the baby hasn't arrived yet. So there's no way in this example to do it backtrack. Normally you prefer to do what's it already cost someone, but in this example we can't do that. So we have to devoid the usual rule of don't future pace because there's no other way to do it. Okay. Then what I wanted him to see is how like that number's got to come from somewhere. So he's either going to get a business to grow and make the money, or he's going to be in debt. Okay. The point though was not what I was doing or how I was doing it. The point was, you see how, because I was aware of the energy, I'm going to swing the pendulum the other way. Like it was getting boring for the prospect. So
Yeah.
you've got to turn it, you got to do something. Otherwise you'll just lose the prospect. Now that doesn't mean, start juggling and fucking, do a silly dance. You got to do something relevant, but your decisions of what you're doing on a call come from what the prospect says, but also from the vibe of the call. You got to be aware of both.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
It doesn't make sense 100%. I'm not, I sort of doubt myself in knowing how to turn it up, for instance, in this instance, because I'm thinking at each step, where do I go from here? And I'm spending a lot of time thinking about that. So I think it's causing it to drag. So yeah, I just hope that like when I'm on a
Don't worry
call.
about it then, because just because
Okay.
I've told you about it now, as you develop your skill with scriptless selling, that will
Mhm.
be in the back of your head. And there'll
Okay.
come a day, might be a week from now, might be a month from now, might be 6 months from now, probably not that long, but somewhere within a week or a few months, you'll be on a call and you'll be like, oh, this call's kind of dragging a little bit. You know what? I think I could ask this. And it'll have just sat there in your subconscious for the next few months until it becomes necessary to use and you've got the skill to deploy it. But obviously part of these calls is for me to give you feedback to implement right now, but also feedback that will be useful in a few weeks or in a few months that you might not be there yet, because that will give you a runway to keep growing and growing and growing over the next few months. So don't worry if I give you feedback, Zach, or anybody that's on the role plays, and you're like, I don't know if I have the capacity to do that yet. Fine, just leave it in your subconscious and it will come up when it needs to come up. So many
Okay.
things that the undergrad mentor taught me at the time he told it to me, I was like, I don't know how I would do that on a call. And then a few days or weeks later, it came up on a call. And because I was in a good state, I just did naturally what he told me to do. And that's part of the benefit of scriptless selling is it's not pre-planned. It will just come up when it comes up.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Keep
Okay.
going, Zach.
I have no idea where to jump in.
Wherever you want. You can go from where I finished, where, he said that this would now be a debt and it makes him feel shit. Could go before that, wherever you want. Up to you. We've got about 15, 20 minutes to go, and then we'll do Q&A.
Okay.
We don't, sorry, just one more thing, Zach. We don't always have to finish the role play, by the way, guys. The point is to go as far in the role play as we get within about an hour and a half. And I've already got 9 points of things to work on for Zach, for anyone watching on YouTube, for anyone watching on the call. There's more than enough things for you to implement. So we don't have to get to the end of the discovery. We'll just keep going for as long as we have time. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, let's start kind of near the end there where, Julian, when you hear that number of the shortfall that you're going to have to, be responsible for, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, frustrated, and I don't know what to tell you, man. It's something I've been avoiding thinking about for quite a long time. But I mean, as it is approaching, it's given me quite a bit of anxiety, man.
So because he said that and it just popped in my head, this is what I would say next. I'm just going to jump in and show you. Do you think your wife's thinking about it?
I mean, we've had brief conversations about it, but now that, obviously I'm starting to see her belly grow and stuff like that, and the kids on the way, it's becoming a lot more real, and but I haven't had the conversation with her.
You're talking about you. My question was, do you think your wife is thinking about it?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you think she's thinking, knowing that she's got a baby inside of her? She's 3 months pregnant. Her husband hasn't figured out how to provide and support for the kids, for the family when she has to stop working. What do you think she's thinking?
If she can, I don't think she can necessarily, I don't think she deep down trusts me for being able to provide right now, to be completely honest.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I feel undervalued in myself. Yeah, I wish I did this earlier, man.
How much longer are you going to put it off?
I've got no option to not put it off because I've got the baby on the way, so I have to find something.
Do you think your wife's scared?
I don't know. I don't know if she's scared.
If you had a baby inside of you, you knew you were bringing another life into the world. You already had 2 other kids. You knew that your husband hasn't figured out how to take care of you and the kids. Would you be scared?
Yeah, I would be.
So how do you think she's feeling?
Probably the same.
Let's pause. 2 things I'm doing there. First thing I'm doing is it just popped into my head to just go that direction, and look at how juicy that goes really fucking right? This is the point of scriptless selling, guys. You very rarely, even at my level, you very rarely know when, where, or how you're going to get to the juicy stuff. Because all you're doing is being present moment to moment. And the moment Julian said the last thing, I was like, I think asking about the wife would be a pretty powerful topic. I didn't know that 2 seconds before he said what he said. I'm so present, even on a role play, that I know when it comes up to go there. But before it comes up, I don't know. And this is where you've got to be 1000% detached to any agenda. Because if you're on the previous question and you're thinking, oh, the next question I'm going to do is this one, and then Julian said what he said, because you were in a state of pre-planning, you wouldn't have even heard the opening that I heard. It would have just gone over your fucking head. Does that make sense? You've got to be so crystal clear that you are present over and above anything else. The second thing that I was doing, does anybody know the second thing that I just did? And this is like very advanced, if I say so myself. and very calibrated. Anyone see the second thing that I did there? Okay, I'll
You
give it
sort
to
of actually can I say it before you? You were sort of matching the way that I was sort of speaking. Like I was sort of I don't know. I felt like I was talking a bit more down, and you were sort of coming with me there. I'm not sure if that's the good observation.
That's very true. That's not the additional thing I was doing, but that's
Okay.
very true. What happens to most prospects in regards to their feelings when you drop the price, guys, on a sales call? What type of feeling comes up for them? All of those words are correct. Anxiety, fear, doubt. Now give me a word that also is how they feel that I just used with Julian. What was the word I used? Scared. So you are fucked if at the end of the call you try and say, I need to think about it, fear objection, scared objection, doubt objection. Like, because I've tied you around your wife being scared. No, to be clear, Ben, it's not what's scarier. It's so you're not going to overcome your own fear and you're going to keep your wife in fear. You're going to force your wife to keep living every single day scared shitless about what's going to happen because you won't get over your own fear. As a man, you're going to buy. You are going to buy. It's lights out. So that's real objection pre-handling, guys. It's contextual objection pre-handling. It's not fucking pre-planned lines. Well, do you know what successful business owners do when fear comes up? Well, you know, they think, well, what's more scary? No, guys, don't use all those bullshit fucking pre-planned lines. It's about the real conversation. And if you're present in the real conversation, the opportunities to pre-handle whatever is needed to be pre-handled will come up. And this is going to go off on a tangent, guys, because that's what God or the universe wants to hand you on a silver platter if you show up to a sales call to serve someone. If your intention on a sales call is to serve someone, as Matthew McConaughey's book says, you'll get the green lights. All the lights in front of you on the traffic lights will just all turn to green. And you'll just go through all the traffic lights. All the reds, all the oranges will just all turn to green. Because if your intention is, I'm here to help this person through, all the lights will just turn to green. And you'll be like, oh, well, there's the fucking thing that I needed. It just got handed to me. That's how life works, guys. When you're being your own worst enemy, getting in your own way, being selfish, being in your own head, overthinking, you'll get red lights. Whereas when you actually show up to do what you need to do for other people and you bring the best version of you to the call, you'll get all the green lights. Does that make sense, guys?
Understood.
Yeah? Okay, so the reason I was like, well, how do you think your wife feels? Was because I know, not because I want to tie you down for my objection handling. I know that most people get scared at the moment to make a decision, at the moment they know it costs money. I want to help you. I know what I can do to help you is get the things that I need from you in this context, your wife's scared, so that if and when we need something at the end of the call to help you over the line, I've got it. I've already gone and got it for you. I kind of view it like if you were responsible to someone that has diabetes and you're going out and you're the one responsible for them, you're going to make sure you take the EpiPen. Like, you're just going to take it with you because you're responsible for that person. And if they overdose on sugar, you need to fucking stab them with it. So like, that's how I'm viewing it metaphorically, is like, I'm not trying to get all my pre-handling objection done. It's just, I know you're diabetic. In other words, you're scared of paying money and, you know, scared of making decisions. And you'll say, oh, I need to think about it, blah, 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 blah. So I'll go grab an EpiPen and make sure as we go out on our little adventure that I've got the EpiPen so that if you start having a fucking panic attack, I can just stab you with the EpiPen and boom, we're off to the races. It's all coming from a place of service. It's not coming from a place of, hey, what fucking ninja tactic can I do to tie you down? It's coming from, I know you're a human. You'll probably get scared. What in this conversation is useful for us to help you over the line? What's useful in this conversation? Not what's useful in my Rolodex of pre-handling objection tracks, because that doesn't matter. It's what's relevant in your life that we could use as leverage to help you over a big hill, a big hurdle, a big difficult decision. Where can I find that stuff within our conversation that we're having together? Does that make sense, folks?
Yeah, it's gold, man.
Do you want to keep going, Zach? How do you feel? We've got a lot of feedback, so if you feel burned out on feedback, we can call it, and we'll do any Q&A, because there's a lot that we've gone through.
I was just writing down some notes. I do feel like I have quite a bit, and so I don't mind wrapping it up. I had the thought, we always say train hard, fight easy, and for better for worse, this feels so much harder than a regular call. But now when I go into the rest of the calls, it'll feel like light work.
100%. We'll call it there. So if anybody has takeaways,
rapport is comfortable, truth isn't, because in some calls the prospect cries and I feel bad or guilty about it, but mostly it's something good because he opens up, or she in some cases.
100%. Yeah. It's a big psychological shift to getting into sales and mastering sales is to no longer seek rapport, but to seek the truth. And usually through life, we've been indoctrinated to seek rapport. And that's because we live in a society, and societies function on people functioning together, not conflict, not having brawls down the street. As a society, that's a fundamental for a successful society, or not a successful, a society that functions, that doesn't keep having chaos. But actually, using the word chaos, change comes from chaos. Adaptation comes from chaos. Evolution comes from chaos. Innovation comes from chaos. So if you want to move forward, you have to have some type of chaos, some type of conflict. If you want to stay consistent, you want rapport. And most people at the top want societies to just be consistent, so they want everyone to be trained on be in rapport with everybody. But that's not how you innovate. And what you're doing on a sales call is you're taking someone's life and you're innovating their life. You're giving innovation to their life to go to a new reality. Innovation requires things breaking, things not being in rapport. So big takeaway. Well done, Justin.
Yeah, I've got one big one actually. So I used to be a sucker for future pacing and being like, well, what would it be like if you add an extra 10,000 a month? But the way I love that you approach it in this role play, Josh, is like based on the position you're in now, are you able to make it? And I thought that was so incredibly powerful because you're always relating it back to now. That's going to impact your future. And I let myself slip on that a little bit and just letting people go a little bit more into the future and not necessarily have to go back to now. So it was a really good wake up call to realign myself there. So it's a big one for me.
That's a huge one. Awesome. All right, Zach, do you have any takeaways?
Too many, bro. I've got a bunch. I think there's two that really stood out to me. One was just right when Julian brought up the thing about the kids, and we had that discussion about, I didn't want to ask, how you feeling about that? Because I didn't feel like I could get anywhere. I felt like that was the first time I really viscerally felt like, oh, this is scriptless selling. This is what it means to not have an agenda. And so now I've heard you say it in the past, is like, you got to experience that transformation for yourself. It's like, I felt it. Now I feel like I can apply that with a whole new level of understanding, which is incredible. I think the second thing as well is just revisiting. I think it falls in the bucket of high value communication. I was just talking to my offer owner last night about how, I have a lot of like 7th level NEPQ training, and it can be very passive, and a lot of what you said about like being heavy handed, or when I'm like, what has you feeling or looking into this, or, where do you feel like we should go from here? Not that those are bad phrases in and of themselves, but that energy of not being efficient, not quickly getting to the truth and just slicing into the real conversation. that's something that I think I need to work on a lot as well. And so today was very helpful for that.
Yeah. You've also got to remember, and I'm fully aware this is going on YouTube, it's important to be aware of where things originated from. And as far as what I've been told, a lot of 7th levels training comes from cold calling, which is such a different context to an inbound sales call. Like if you were cold calling someone and it was outbound, yeah, you probably want to say, so what kind of possibly maybe had you thinking about this? Because you're outbound dialing them. But if you do that when someone's like, hey man, I booked in a sales call, and you're now like, what kind of possibly maybe has you sort of looking into this? They're like, well, I clicked the link and then I booked a call and I took out an hour of my day and I turned up to a sales call. Like, am I not moving forward in the direction that it looks like I'm serious? So it's like they're literally the opposite context. And I think if you were cold calling, you definitely want to be a lot more passive because the person's highly likely at any point to hang up the phone. Whereas inbound sales, you got to really fuck things up for someone to hang up the phone, or 1 in 500 people are just weird and they just hang up the phone, hang up the Zoom call.
100%. Yeah.
Very helpful. In inbound sales and in this type of thing, I think one of the downfalls of the high ticket space is too passive, people being too soft with their words. All of these kind of downplaying languages make it very hard for you to definitively tie someone down to buy on a 1-call close and give you a PIF, and you then don't have to do objection handling, don't have to do follow-up. A lot more than high ticket closers realize that is coming from the passiveness in how a lot of salespeople are running their discovery. So yeah, big observation. All right, folks, I'll see y'all on Monday because we have a whole week of role plays. So those are some of the things that you need to be adding into your discoveries so that you can close the people that you're not closing. If you want to go to the next level, you already know what you need to do. So the question is, how much longer are you going to delay, kick the can down the road, and procrastinate on the thing that's going to take you to the next level so you can earn more money in sales? If the answer to that question is, I'm done procrastinating and flushing more money down the toilet, then click the link below this video, join the Unicorn Closer Mastermind today, and I'll see you on the next role play.